Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? All right, let's get into it. This is day 12, Law 12 of 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I will be reading this book. Go ahead and purchase this book if you want to read it along. If you want to go ahead and subscribe to your girl for going live every day. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm just kidding. Anyways, and also, yes, if you are from another country, let me know where you guys are from. All right, so I have my blanket. It is actually pretty cold today, and don't really want to get too much into it, but let's just go ahead and get into this book. All right, so today we are reading Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Judgment. One sincere and honest move will cover over dozens of dishonest ones. Open-hearted gestures of honesty and generosity brings down the guard of even the most suspicious people. Once your selective honesty opens a hole in their armor, you can deceive and manipulate them at will. A timely gift, a Trojan horse, will serve the same purpose. Observance of the law. Sometime in 1926, a tall, dapperly dressed man paid a visit to Al Capone, the most feared gangster of his time. Speaking with an elegant continental accent, the man introduced himself as Count Victor Lustig. He promised that if Capone gave him $50,000, he could double it. Capone had more than enough funds to cover this investment, but he wasn't in the habit of entrusting large sums to total strangers. He looked the Count over. Something about the man was different. His classy style, his manner, and so Capone decided to play along. He counted out the bills personally and handed them to Lustig. Okay, Count, said Capone. Double it in 60 days like you said. Lustig left with the money, put it in a safe deposit in Chicago, then headed to New York, where he had several other money-making schemes in progress. The $50,000 remained in the bank box untouched. Lustig made no effort to double it. 2 months later, he returned to Chicago, took the money from the box, and paid Capone another visit. He looked at the gangster's stony-faced bodyguards and smiled apologetically and said, "Please accept my profound regrets, Mr. Capone. I'm sorry to report the plan failed. I failed." Capone slowly stood up. He glowered at Lustig, debating which part of the river to throw him in. But the Count reached into his coat pocket and withdrew the $50,000 and placed it on the desk. "Here, sir, is your money," said to the penny. "Again, my sincere apologies." Sorry. This is the most embarrassing. This is most embarrassing. Things didn't work out the way I thought they would. I would have loved to have double your money for you and myself. Lord knows I need it, but the plan just didn't materialize. Capone sat back in a chair, confused. "I know you're a con man, Count," said Capone. "I knew at the moment you walked in here. I expected either $100,000 or nothing, but this, getting my money back, well, again, my apologies, Mr. Capone," said Lustig. He picked up his hat and began to leave. "My God, you're honest," yelled Capone. "If you're on the spot, here's five to help you along." He counted out five $1,000 bills out of the 50,000. The Count seemed stunned. He bowed deeply, mumbled thanks, and left, taking the money. The 5,000 was what Lustig had been after all along. Very interesting, very interesting. I need some water. I mean, I guess that was pretty good. I feel like in this book so far, I kind of heard more shocking stories than that. So, like, that one didn't really wow me. But let's go ahead and see what the interpretation says of that story, okay? Count Victor Lustig, a man who spoke several languages and prided himself on his refinement and culture, was one of the great con artists of modern times. He was known for his audacity, his fearlessness, and most important, his knowledge of human psychology. He could size up a man in minutes, discovering his weakness, and he had a radar for suckers. Lusick knew that most men build up defenses against crooks and other troublemakers. The con artist's job is to bring those defenses down. One sure way to do this is through an act of apparent sincerity and honesty. Who would distrust a person literally caught in the act of being honest? Lustig used selective honesty many times, but with Capone, he went a step further. No normal con man would have dared such a con. He would have chosen his suckers for their meekness, for that look about them says that they will take their medicine without complaint. Con Capone and you would spend the rest of your life, whatever remained of it, afraid. But Lustig understood that a man like Capone spends his life mistrusting others. No one around him is honest or generous. And being so much is in the company of wolves is exhausting, even depressing. A man like Capone yearns to be the recipient of an honest or generous gesture, to feel that not everyone has an angle or is out to rob him. I mean, everybody wants to feel that way, right? Lustig's act of selective honesty disarmed Capone because it was so unexpected. A con artist loves conflicting emotions like these. Since the person caught up in them was so easily distracted and deceived, do not shy away from practicing this law on the Capones of the world. With a well timed gesture of honesty or generosity, you will have the most brutal and cynical beast in the kingdom eating out of your hand. Hi, Jaffrin. How are you doing? Everything turns gray when I don't have at least one mark on the horizon. Life then seems empty and depressing. I cannot understand honest men. They lead desperate lives full of boredom. All right. What did you guys think of that so far? What did you think of that story? What did you think of the interpretation? Let me know, all right? Let's go ahead and get into this little blurb on the side, this little story right here, okay? This is called Francesco Barro Courtier Charlton, okay? Where am I from? I'm from the US. Where are you from? Francisco Giuseppe Borri of Milan, whose death in 1695 fell just within the 17th century, was a forerunner of the special type of charlatanical adventurer, the courtier or cavalier imposter. His real period of glory began after he moved to Amsterdam. There he assumed the title of Medico Universal, maintained a greater retinue, and drove about this in a coach with 6 horses. From Bangladesh. Wow. I've never been to Bangladesh. What's the best part about it? Patients streamed to him, and some invalids had themselves carried in sedan chairs all the way from Paris to his place in Amsterdam. Borri took no payment for his consulations. Consultations. What? Consultations. He distributed great sums among the poor and was never known to receive any money through the post or bill exchange. As he continued to live with such splendor, and nevertheless it was presumed that he possessed the philosopher's stone. Suddenly this benefactor disappeared from Amsterdam. Then it was discovered that he had taken with him money and diamonds that had been placed in his charge. The power of the charlatan. Wow, what did you guys think of that? It's very interesting. It's very interesting, the like facade that people put on, and then like how things actually are. But how old am I? I am 23. How old are you? All right, keys to power. Are you ready? Sorry, bear with me. All right. The essence of deception is distraction. Distracting the people you want to deceive gives you the time and space to do something they won't notice. An act of kindness, generosity, or honesty is often the most powerful form of distraction because it disarms other people's suspicions. It turns them into children eagerly lapping up any kind of affectionate gesture. You're 16. Oh my God. Wow. Are you in school? Okay. In ancient China, this was called giving before you take. The giving makes it hard for other people to notice the taking. It is to deceive with infinite practical uses. Brazenly taking something from someone is dangerous, even for the powerful. The victim will plot revenge. It is also dangerous simply to ask for what you need, no matter how politely. Unless the other person seems for some gain for themselves, they may come to resent your neediness. Learn to give before you take. It softens the ground, takes the bite out of the future request, or simply creates a distraction. And the giving can take many forms: an actual gift, a generous act, a kind favor, an honest admission, whatever it takes. Selective honesty is best employed on your first encounter with someone. We are all creatures of habit, and our first impression lasts a long time. If someone believes you are honest at the start of your relationship, it takes a lot to convince them otherwise. This gives you room to maneuver. Oh my God, that's so cool. Well, you got to keep going, okay? Jay Gould, like Al Capone, was a man who distrusted everyone. By the time he was 33, he was already a multimillionaire, mostly through deception and strong arming. In the late 1860s, Gould invested heavily in the Erie Railroad, then discovered that the market had been flooded with a vast amount of phony stock certificates for the company. He stood to lose a fortune and to suffer a lot of embarrassment. In the midst of the crisis, a man named Lord John Gordon offered to help. Gordon, a Scottish lord, had apparently made a small fortune investing in railroads. By hiring some handwriting experts, Gordon was able to prove to Gould that the culprits for the phony stock certificates were actually several top executives with the Erie Railroad itself. Gould was grateful. Um, whoa. Gould was grateful. Tomorrow is my exam. Yes, good luck. Make sure that you study and review, okay? Gordon then proposed that he and Gould would join forces to buy up a controlling interest in Erie. Gould agreed. For a while, the venture appeared to prosper. The two men were now good friends. And every time Gordon came to Gould asking for money to buy more stock, Gould gave it to him. In 1873, however, Gordon suddenly dumped all of his stock, making a fortune, but drastically lowering the value of Gould's old holdings. Then he disappeared from sight. Hi, Cash. Welcome to the live. Bye, Jeffren. Nice to meet you. All right, where were we? Disappeared from sight, okay? Upon investigation, Gould found out that Gordon's real name was John Crousingfield, and that he was a bastard son of the merchant seaman and London barmaid. There had been many clues before that Gordon was a con man. I'm doing pretty good. Well, you know what? I'm doing the best that I can right now. Let's be honest. I'm doing the best that I can. But anyways, back to what we're doing. And that there had been many clues before that Gordon was a con man, but his initial act of honesty and support had so blinded Gold that it took a loss of millions for him to see through the scheme. A single act of honesty. Hold on, guys. All right. A single act of honesty is often not enough. What is required of the reputation for honesty built on a series of acts, but these can be quite inconsequential. Once this reputation is established, as with first impressions, it is hard to shake. In ancient China, Duke Hua Cheng decided it was time to take over the increasingly powerful kingdom of He. Telling no one of his plan, he married his daughter to He's ruler. He then called a council and asked his ministers, I am considering a military campaign. Which country should we invade? As he expected. One of his ministers replied, Who should be invaded? The Duke seemed angry and said, Who is a sister state now? Why do you suggest invading her? And he had the minister executed for his politic remark. The ruler of He heard about this, and considering other tokens of Wu's honesty and the marriage of his daughter, he took no precautions to defend himself from Shang. A few weeks later, Shang's forces swept through He and took the country, and never to relinquish it. Honesty is one of the best ways to disarm the wary, but it is not the only one. Any kind of noble, apparently selfless act will serve. Perhaps the best act, such though, is one of generosity. Few people can resist a gift, even from the most hardened enemy, which is why it is often the perfect way to disarm people. A gift brings out the child in us, instantly lowering our defenses. And although we often view other people's actions in the most cynical way, we rarely see the Machiavellian element of a gift, which quite often hides ulterior motives. A gift is a perfect object in which to hide a deceptive motive. What are you reading? I am reading The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Okay. Which quite often hides the ulterior motives. A gift is a perfect object in which to hide a deceptive motive. Over 3,000 years ago, the ancient Greeks traveled across the sea to recapture the beautiful Helen, stolen away from them by Paris, and to destroy Paris's city, Troy. The siege lasted 10 years. Many heroes died, yet neither side has come close to victory. One day, have you ever read this before? One day, the prophet Calchas assembled the Greeks. Stop battering away at these walls, he told them. You must find some other way, some ruse. We cannot take Troy by force alone. We must find something cunning, stratagem. The cunning Greek leader Odysseus then came up with the idea of building a giant wooden horse. Oh my gosh! Welcome! Wow, I've never been to Saudi Arabia. Never. Oh my goodness, welcome. Okay. Then came up with the idea of building a giant wooden horse and hiding soldiers inside of it, then offering it to the Trojans as a gift. Neoptolus, son of Achilles, was disgusted with this idea. It was unmanly. Better for thousands to die on the battlefield than to gain victory so deceitfully. But the soldiers faced with the choice between another 10 years of manliness, honor, and death on one hand, Ooh, sorry guys. So sorry. I was getting a phone call. All right. Let's see. Where were we? Oh, guys, why is everybody blowing up my phone at the same time? Okay. Sorry. On the other, they chose the horse, which was promptly built. The trick was so successful when Troy fell. One gift did more for the Greek cause than 10 years of fighting, okay? Imagine this in your head. The Trojan horse, your guile, is hidden inside a magnificent gift that proves irresistible to your opponent. The walls open, once inside, wreak havoc. Who do I support? I support no war. I support people being protected. So and it's not really like you can be like, oh, this or that or them or these. I don't really know what's going on, but all I know is I don't want people dying. I want to live in a peaceful world and I want us to all work together. So I support no war. I don't support any side and I don't support anybody dying or getting killed over anything. So that's what I support. And I don't want to get into politics either about it, but that's my opinion. I don't want war, so I support no war. And there is a lot of war going on in the whole world, and I just wish that it's like it's only a few people pulling these strings too and making all of these millions of people's lives miserable. So I support no war, and I don't support anybody bombing anybody or killing anyone. Selective kindness should also be part of your arsenal of. Oh, wait, imagine this. Sorry. The Trojan horse, your guile, is hidden inside a magnificent gift that proves irresistible to your opponent. The walls open, once inside, wreak havoc. Selective kindness should also be a part of your arsenal or deception. For years, the ancient Romans had besieged the city of the Philistines, always unsuccessfully. One day, however, when Roman general Camillus was encamped outside the city, he suddenly saw a man leading some children towards him. The man was a Pelasgian teacher, and the children, it turned out, were the sons and daughters of the noblest and wealthiest citizens of the town. Why are you begging me to answer this question? I just told you my answer. Please respect that. I just told you. I support no war. I don't want war. So it doesn't matter who is doing what or who is killing who or what side is doing what. I don't want any of it. That's what I support. So it's not a side. Okay, you don't have to. All right? I don't support anyone. I want no war. I support no war. I want them to stop it, okay? That's what I want. But what I want, I mean, am I going to go talk to those people at the it's nothing. It's nothing to be sad about, but like we all have to work together on supporting a war to stop. That's what we need to do. Instead of trying to pick a side, we need to all come together and collectively work on getting it to stop and protecting lives so everybody can help progress the world together and stop dividing. It's not like a this side versus that side. It's a we need to come together as one and stop being so divided and work towards uniting and getting like progressing as a species. Like we can, if we all collectively work towards good and put our energy into good things and supported one another, it would literally be so much more beneficial and we would literally get so much further as a species and as a planet than putting all of our money into war and putting all of our money into bad things, okay? So I don't want to give my energy to that. I'm putting my energy into good stuff. And I want people that are on my page that support me also to start growing and putting their energy collectively into good, and we can all progress from that. Like, I don't want to keep going like, oh, this side versus that side. Who do you support? Rah, rah, rah. Let's support good versus evil and all put our energy into good and not into that type of stuff. Like, that's just how I felt. Selective kindness should be also be part of your arsenal or deception. For years, the ancient Romans had besieged the city of the Pelasgians, always unsuccessfully. One day, however, when the Roman general Camillus was encamped outside the city, he suddenly saw a man leading some children towards him. The man was a Pelasgian teacher, and the children, it turned out, were the sons and daughters of the noblest and wealthiest citizens of the town. On the pretense of taking these children out for a walk, he had led them straight to the Romans, offering them as hostages in the hopes of ingratiating himself with Camillus, the city's enemy. Camillus did not take the children hostage. He stripped the teacher, tied his hands behind his back, and gave each of a child a rod, and let them whip him all the way back to the city. The gesture had an immediate effect on the Pelasgians. Had Camillus used the children as hostages, some in the city would have voted to surrender, and even the Pelasgians had gone to fighting. The resistance would have been half-hearted. Camillus's refusal to take advantage of the situation broke down the Pelasgians' resistance, and they surrendered. The general had calculated correctly, and in any case he had nothing to lose. He knew that the hostage ploy would not have ended the war, at least not right away, disarming them. Selective kindness will often break down even the most stubborn foe, aiming right for the heart, and it corrodes the will to fight. Oh, hey guys. Hey Anushu, and I am from the US. Where are you? You said you're from Saudi Arabia, right? That's pretty cool. I really want to go to every single country in the world. Like, that is my bucket list. All right. Remember, by playing on one's emotions, calculated acts of kindness can turn a Capone into a gullible child. As with an emotional approach, the tactic must be practiced with caution. If people see through it, their disappointed feelings of gratitude and warmth will become the most violent hatred and distrust. Unless you can make the gesture seem sincere and heartfelt, do not play with fire. Okay, so this is going to be the authority. All right, are you ready? When Duke Kaizen of Qin was about to raid Yu, he presented them with a jade and a team of horses. When Earl Shi was about to raid Xiaoyu, he presented them with grand chariots. Hence the saying, when you are about to take, you should give. Han Fei Su, Chinese philosopher in 3rd century BC. Thanks. All right. Now this is going to be the reversal to this law. Now if this specific law is not working for you, then you would have to try the reversal, okay? So let's see. You have a history of deceit behind you. No amount of honesty, generosity, or kindness will fool people. In fact, it will only call attention to itself. Once people have come to see you as deceitful, to act honest all of a sudden is simply suspicious. In these cases, it is better to play the rogue. Count Lustig, pulling the biggest con of his career, was about to sell the Eiffel Tower to an unsuspecting industrialist who believed the government was auctioning it off for scrap metal. The industrialist was prepared to hand over a huge sum of money to Lustig, who had successfully impersonated a government official. At the last minute, however, the mark was suspicious. Something about Lustig bothered him. At the meeting in which he was to hand over the money, Lustig sensed his sudden distrust. Leaning over to the industrialist, Lustig explained in a low whisper how low his salary was, how difficult his finances were, on and on. After a few minutes of this, the industrialized realized I will call her back in a minute. The industrialized realized that Lustig was asking for a bribe. For the first time, he relaxed. Now he knew that he could trust Lustig. Since all government officials were dishonest, Lustig had to be real. The man forked over the money. By acting dishonest, Lustig seemed the real McCoy. In this case, selective honesty would have the opposite effect. As a French diplomat, Talleyrand grew older. His reputation for a master liar and deceiver spread. At the Congress of Vienna, 1814 to 1815, he would spin fabulous stories and make impossible remarks to people who knew he had to be lying. His dishonesty had no purpose except to cloak the moment when he really was deceiving them. One day, for example, among friends, Talleyrand said with apparent sincerity, "In business, one ought to show one's hand." No one who heard him could believe their ears. A man who never once in his life had shown his cards was telling other people to show theirs. Tactics like this made it impossible to distinguish Talleyrand's real deceptions from his fake ones. By embracing his reputation for dishonesty, he preserved his ability to deceive. Nothing in the realm of power is set in stone. Overt deceptiveness will sometimes cover your tracks, even making you admire for the honesty of your dishonesty. All right. So I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about my thoughts of that chapter. Honestly, like, I don't know. I mean, I do feel like that is something that happens. Like, people are very much selectively honest or like tell what they want to tell you. And I mean, even sometimes in your own life, like, are you telling everybody 100% of the truth? Like, are you telling them when you're wrong? Are you that self aware? But, like, if you want to be a con man and con people, I suppose, like, being dishonest is the way to go. But it's just like, you just have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with, like, just lying to people. And that's just a thing in your like morals that you have to decide on whether or not you are okay with that. Like, always being known as a liar and always getting what you want because you lie all the time, that is a power move. Or, being honest all the time, but sometimes when you're always brutally honest with people, they do get offended by that, and um, your words sting, and what you say to people stings and it stays with them. Oftentimes, people don't remember the words that you say, but how you made them feel. So, like, you just have to be, I think, in general, with that last chapter, regardless of how you feel on whether or not you want to be super duper honest all the time or you want to be a liar, but you just need to be very selective of like what you say and realize like the power of the tongue is real and all of that stuff. So yeah, if you guys liked this chapter or this law, let me know your thoughts about it, and stay tuned for another Hot Girl Reads. What day is it today? Today is Saturday. So then the next one will be on Monday. Bye.